majesty. That is probably somewhat of a travesty having me. Then he told the people, you can call me your majesty.
Hello, I'm Y-Flyer, and I'm here to talk to you about something. Something very, very, very special to me. One of my favorite films of all time, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Indiana Jones.
Dr. Jones.
Indy.
Jones.
I grew up watching this movie countless times. I know it by heart, and I will always cherish it forever. It is... I love it. I love it. While I don't think that it is a perfect movie, it is a perfect movie watching experience. The plot is riveting. The characters are engaging. The sets are gorgeous. The locations are superb. The action scenes are fun and exciting. The dialogue scenes are fun to watch, and they actually give you important information and they don't waste your time. The cinematography? Mwah. Chef's kiss. So, without further ado, let's grab our whips and our fedoras, holster our pistol, and let's swing in to the greatest adventure lost to history. We open in South America, 1936. Except it's not actually South America. This was filmed in Hawaii. Indy and his band of merry travelers make their way through the jungle, getting spooked and scared along the way by all sorts of creepy stuff. This opening scene is really good at showcasing three things about Indy's character. 1, he's really cool. 2, he's really, really smart. And 3, he is really good with that whip. Also, Alfred Molina is here. This is his first role in film. Isn't that awesome?
He was very, very good.
Once Indy and Satipo, Alfred Molina, enter the temple, they are met with all kinds of creepy, crawly spiders, vines and sprawling moss covering the walls, and spooky skeletons and booby traps that would even make Fred Jones weep. After a perilous whip swing across a deep chasm, we enter the main chamber that contains the idol. This scene is spectacular. This idol is called the Idol of Fertility, and throughout history, many ancient civilizations made idols of fertility and of women, almost deifying them. If only we could give them the right to make choices about their own body today. Tiptoeing across the room, Indy makes it to the idol. And just by looking at it, he's trying to guess its weight. The idol is placed on top of a plinth. Key word. And that plinth is meant to trigger if the weight changes. This scene does a lot of things. It shows how excited Indy is about history. It shows how adept he is at navigating these dangerous areas. And it also shows that he is a burglar. I'm gonna get it out of the way. Why is he taking these artifacts? Don't worry about it. The movie doesn't want you to ask, too many deep questions about its characters. Indiana Jones is not a deep character, and he's really not meant to be. He is a vessel for the audience to experience this adventure. He's the Master Chief of the 80s. With that out of the way, let's see another important aspect of Indy's character. Nothing ever goes according to plan. Anytime our boy tries to get away with something, anytime he gets a little too confident, he is swiftly put down.
Give me the whip! Give me the whip!
Adios, señor.
You hear that music? Yeah, that's John Williams. His score in this movie is enchanting. Oh, and this part when Indy is trying to grab the vine and the door is closing. I can't coin this term because I heard it somewhere else, but this is called a Spielberg time skip or time stretch. I don't remember. Indy is trying to grab the rope and then the door is closing and then Indy's trying to pull himself up and the door is still closing. Yeah, it's an editing trick. It's meant to kind of create the sense of time, like, oh no, is he gonna get out of there? Of course he's gonna get out of there. After we see what happens to poor Satipo, Indy must now outrun the boulder. Need I say more? At this point, the boulder is a character to me in this film. It is such a powerful moment, so striking. One last heroic escape, one last run until... The physical comedy is so good in this movie. There are so many funny moments like this. We are then introduced to Belloc, one of our main villains in the film. He's a French archaeologist, dead set on making Indy's life hell and exploring the more supernatural parts of history.
Again, we see there is nothing you can possess which I cannot take away.
I mentioned how Indiana Jones was stealing these relics from these temples, but the consistent explanation of Indy's doings is that he wants to preserve history. It belongs in a museum. Belloc, however, also wants to preserve history, except he wants to explore the more fantastical parts of history, folklore, religious stories. He's the man who wants to find out if the cross that Jesus was crucified on actually has some magic powers. But before we get all philosophical, Indy's got to make an escape. In this run through the jungle, I want to show some really great storyboarding here. From where Indy is running to the temple, we see that statue where the bats flew out of the mouth. And then after that, we see the mules that they used to travel to get to the temple. I think that is a really nice way of showing distance and also how far Indy is running to get to the plane. And at 11 minutes and 51 seconds, we hear the Raiders march for the first time. And it is so beautifully interlaced into the score that's already playing. It's so good. It's not too long. It's not too short. It's just the right amount, showing his heroic moment. Man. Hopping onto the plane, Indy and Jock fly off into the distance, and we are introduced to one of the best parts of Indiana Jones' character.
The big snake in the plane, Jock! I hate snakes, Jock! I hate it!
Now, Indy is almost like... see? Got the t-shirt. Indy is almost like a superhero, in a sense. He has almost an alter ego. Now, I had the perfect glasses for this fit, but I can't for the life of me find them. I have the perfect glasses for this, and I can't find them.
Neo, meaning new and lithic.
Indy is a professor at a college, and it is a great contrast to who he is outside of the school. When we arrive at the college, we are introduced to Indy teaching a room full of students, packed. And then we are introduced to one of Indy's greatest friends, Marcus Brody. Marcus shares a similar fascination with Indy about history, and can meet Indy at his mental level.
As usual, no questions asked. Yes, they are nice.
To skip ahead, Marion and Sala are Indy's two other companions throughout the story. However, they can meet Indy almost at his physical level and share a little bit of Indy's luck as well. Indy and Marcus talk business for a moment when Marcus informs Dr. Jones that there are two men from Army intelligence there to see him. These two are Colonel Musgrove and Major Eaton. which, like, what, Major Eaton, really? Both are here to ask Dr. Jones about Professor Ravenwood and his whereabouts, but Jones doesn't know anything. He hasn't spoken to him in a long time. Or so he says. And this scene is so fantastic at delivering exposition and information to the audience in 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Just, oh! We find out that the Nazis are searching for religious artifacts amidst their rise to power. And one of these is the headpiece to the staff of Ra.
What exactly is a headpiece to the staff of Ra?
This is an ornamental medallion that is placed on top of the staff of Ra, and when the sunlight hits it in a certain way, it can locate the area of which the Ark of the Covenant is buried. But what is the Ark of the Covenant? That is what Army Intelligence is here to ask Indy about.
If you believe in that sort of thing.
If you believe in that sort of thing, our boy, Dr. Jones, is agnostic. He's not denying it, and he's not confirming it. I think that is beautiful. Steven Spielberg, the director of the film, is Jewish, and that's really, really important for this movie. I think it is widely known that Raiders of the Lost Ark is a Jewish revenge film against the Nazis, and it's done extremely, extremely tastefully. There isn't almost any kind of Jewish or Judaism iconography anywhere. If anything, we see a lot of swastikas throughout the movie. Now, faith is a very, very heavy theme in this film, and we are going to be revisiting that many, many, many times. Back to our discussion about the Ark. Dr. Jones gets the floor, assisted by Marcus, who is a very detail-heavy specialist. He knows all the dates and the specific facts about what Indy is talking about. Dr. Jones knows the technology, and he knows the anthropology. And if you are an archaeologist, you have to take many, many classes in anthropology. He also knows that Ravenwood has this medallion, and he might just know where he last was. This gets everyone very, very excited. And then we're shown the Ark through an artistic depiction, and the theme of the Ark plays for the first time.
That's it.
Wow, 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 wow. Yeah, that's the theme of the golden box in the movie. It has a theme. We have information. We have motivations. Let's really, really slow down and spend an evening in Indy's house. We share some drinks, and Indy packs his bags to go find Abner Ravenwood, and possibly a long-lost lover.
So she'll still be with him?
Marion's the least of your worries right now.
And this is where we hear Marion's theme for the first time. I love Marion's theme so much. It is sweeping. It is enchanting. It is so sweet. Honestly, I almost like it better than the Raiders March. It is just such a beautiful piece of music.
John Williams and the London Symphony Orchestra, everybody.
And immediately after, we hear the Ark's theme again as Marcus explains his excitement that Indy may just find an artifact only rumored to have existed. Also, I think it's funny how he's literally looking down at the audience as he explains how scary the Ark could be. Like, if you were in a theater, he's looking down at you right now. We hop on a Pan Am flight, which is just so funny to see. We take our hats, tilt them down, rest back, and we journey to Nepal. We arrive in Nepal, and after a beautiful transition, we are brought into a bustling bar scene. My favorite. This is when we are officially introduced to Marion, but we don't know it's her yet, so we'll play along for now. In a dense crowd of bar patrons, we are guided through a beautiful one-shot where Marion is sparring with another man in a drinking game. They take shots, they grimace, everyone keeps passing money between each other, and Marion commands the room. Matter of fact, she is one of, I think there are only 2 women in that room, and Marion is one of them, and she owns the scene. She shows her strength first by out-drinking the man across from her. And you're going to want to remember how well she can handle her alcohol. The way Karen Allen moves her face, her facial acting is so incredible in this movie. She emotes so well. There is no hiding those emotions. You know what she's feeling at any moment. She is wonderful. And after all the festivities have ended, her past comes back to haunt her. Indiana Jones always knew someday you'd come walking through by something door. They have history. And when you start looking at some dates, things start to get they start to get really creepy. I think that these 2 gentlemen were juggling a lot of different things at once while making this film. And I think that the time frame of when Indy and Marion used to be dating might have not been given the most attention. All right, let's get into it. Now, according to a novelization of the film that came out around the same time that the film was out, apparently, the case is that when Indy and Marion used to be dating, Marion would have been 16 years old and Indiana Jones would have been 26 years old. Jail! When Indy is teaching at the college, his students flirt with him. He's clearly a ladies' man. However, I said students flirt with him. This is from a novelization of the film. Their ages are not exactly said. And I don't know when he was born. However, there are around 3 or 4 lines that are kind of the final nail in the coffin for this scenario.
I was a child. I was in love. It was wrong and you knew it.
You knew what you were doing. You knew what you were doing. You knew what you were doing.
I was a child. I was in love. And the response of, you knew what you were doing. Dude, that is like, come on, you gotta admit, that's crazy. That is insane. That's insane. There's still an hour and 29 minutes left of this film. So we're gonna move on. However, I wanted to bring it up and address it because it's important. And everything in film should be intentional. That is way too crazy of an accident to happen, dude. Come on. Indy needs that medallion. Marion is not going to give it to him. And Abner is dead. Indy leaves with hopes of receiving the medallion from Marion tomorrow. But it is revealed that Marion was wearing the medallion the entire time. And when the medallion is revealed, they play a rendition of the theme that plays when the ARK is opened at the end of the movie.
It's beautiful.
Very interesting. And then trouble comes barging in.
Good evening, Fräulein.
This is Major Tote, one of our major main 3 villains of the film. He knows about Dr. Jones, the medallion, and he is going to do anything to get that medallion. Tote is pure evil. Belloc is a villain of the week compared to this guy. Before Marion gets mutilated, Indy thankfully saves the day. Or night. I guess it's technically it's night, so.
Let her go.
And interestingly enough, this is Steven Spielberg's first on-camera gunfight scene. This gunfight is tense, but most importantly, it's funny. And I think in a movie like this, it is extremely important to blend comedy and action. Indy's pistol sounds vicious. The blend of oranges and whites and blacks in the scenery is just so good. And once everything starts burning, this scene is such a joy to watch. However, this scene is also like really violent and really gruesome at times. Like, whoa. Another great moment is while trying to grab the medallion, Tote burns his hand on it and he has to rush outside and go put it in the snow. It is such a funny scene. However, what I didn't realize watching this film growing up is that it's a setup for later. Marion and Indy both barely escape after killing all of Toad's cronies, and they now bond over their newfound trauma. And Marion declares through a blowing windstorm, "I'm your goddamn partner!" And with that, we make our way to Cairo. Same video, different day. When we arrive in Cairo, we are welcomed by Saleh and his wonderful family, and this is the first time we meet this wonderful companion. Saleh has been contracted by the Nazis to start digging and excavating the Tanis site in hopes of finding the Ark of the Covenant. Saleh mentions a man named Belosh, but we all know that that is Belloc, and Indy laughs, revealing the medallion that Belloc is still missing to complete the map room puzzle. All of this is very exciting for the both of them, but Saleh has some concerns.
The Ark. If it is there, Tanis, then it is something that man was not meant to disturb. Death has always surrounded it. It is not of this earth.
The Ark not being of this earth, it's not something that Indy is gonna buy into. But we don't see his reaction to what Saleh says, and I think that's very, very engaging and very interesting. We cut to Marion and Indy exploring a bustling market in Cairo, and on Marion's shoulder is a monkey. Now, this monkey is working for this guy, and this guy is working for the Nazis. And then the monkey does this. Now, this little comedic moment is achieved by a grape hanging over the monkey's head. However, I think it is so funny that he trained the monkey to do the salute. Like, it's so simple-minded, even a monkey can do it. Now that these very well-dressed Nazis know where Indy and Marion are, they send some masked goons to go kill them in broad daylight. Oh God. Jesus Christ, this looks so bad. All right. See? Jeez. Yeah. So these guys come after Indy and Marion. Masked goons are a great little like threat to give to your hero in a movie, just kind of give them a fun action sequence. Star Wars is probably the best example of this with stormtroopers. They are disposable. You can kill as many of them as you want and no one's gonna bat an eye because they're all in helmets and they're, that's not a real person. They've got a helmet on. The scene where Marion gets chased by that one guy with a knife and then she knocks him out with a frying pan, that was not originally planned to be in the movie. Karen Allen actually asked to have that added in because she didn't feel like Marion was doing enough heroic stuff. She was kind of just always a damsel in distress. I think that is wonderful. Thank you, Karen Allen. You made that character. She hides in a basket so that she can evade her pursuers, but guess what? The monkey rats her out, and then they carry her away in the basket. Indy sees this, runs after her, but not yet. He's got a sword fight waiting for him. 15 seconds of perfection. In just 15 seconds, this scene encapsulates so much about Indy's character through just his little movements and how Harrison Ford acts. Indy finally catches up to the goons carrying Marion, and they put her in a truck, which is then shown to have a bunch of crates that are red, labeled clearly high explosive. This is a Looney Tunes ass movie. Dude, when Indy shoots the driver of the truck, that scene is vicious. You see the bullet exit his head. This is PG, man. The truck loses control, it falls over, and then it fucking explodes, and Marion fucking dies. Like, what? And what is Indiana Jones's reaction to this? He looks at the burning truck and goes, Marion. Like, that's it? That's all you get? He just looks at the burning truck of where his lover just exploded and died, and he goes, Marion. Like, could we get a little more with that? Could we get another take of that? Maybe a little more emotion in that one. Like, bro. It's almost like they wrote the scene knowing that Marion is gonna come back. I know, crazy thought. Indy, now drinking his sorrows away with the monkey that gave away Marion, all right. He is quickly confronted by a Nazi agent, and he is brought into the clutches of Belloc. Belloc and Indy share a discussion about philosophy and the ARK, and Belloc is actually trying to get Indy to understand his perspective. He wants to show Indy that by obtaining these relics, they can harness their power and use them against their enemies. Man, that is a terrifying sentiment. Belloc holds up a pocket watch he bought and explains to Indy that if he were to bury it in the sand, after 1,000 years, it would be priceless, and men would try to kill each other for it. I don't think that Belloc is trying to compare the priceless nature of the watch after 1,000 years to the grand power of the ARK, but what Belloc is trying to say is that history holds a lot of power over people, and the history that people believe in, they will fight for it. This scene is awesome, and I really wanted another opportunity to talk about Belloc more, because I don't feel like he is mentioned enough when talking about Raiders. He is an excellent foil to Indy. Indy's an archaeologist, Belloc's an archaeologist, yet they subscribe to two completely different schools of thought. It is amazing to see a villain like this parallel the hero. Tensions get a little high after Indy literally threatens to kill Belloc right there, and he is swiftly saved by Salah's children. Also, remember when Marion died? Indy tells Sala that Marion is dead, and Sala's response to that is, "Oh yeah, man, I know, but hey, life goes on. You know, you'll get over it." One of our main characters just died. I'm not saying that they need to break down crying after hearing this news, but like a little more than life goes on. What? Indy and Sala are discussing how they are going to get to the Ark, while the seer, played by the fiddler on the roof from the musical The Fiddler on the Roof, is analyzing the headpiece, and he has some news for Sala and Indy. Well, two things more specifically.
Come, sit down. What is it? This is a warning. Not to disturb the Ark of the Covenant. What about the height of the staff? Did Belloc get it off of here?
I love that the seer says the warning of the Ark first. Indy shakes his head and asks him to move on. I'm telling you, man, faith is an important theme in this movie. It's very, very important. The wind starts blowing, and Indy gets up and he takes off his glasses. And I'm telling you, everything in film should be intentional, and this is an amazing, amazing example of that. There is no theme, no arc theme, no hero theme when we find out that the Nazis' staff is too long and they're digging in the wrong place. However, there is that wind, and I believe that that is the spirit of the Ark blowing through the room to give Indy and Sala an even colder chill, and an even louder warning to stay away. And Indy takes off his glasses to get a new world view and a new perspective on faith. I highly doubt that was the intention, and the wind is just there for dramatic effect, and Indy takes off his glasses for dramatic effect, but let's have fun with it. We cut to the Tanis dig site, and this set is spectacular. The amount of extras that are there, almost just as set dressing, the hustle and bustle of the environment, the way the camera is tracking each of the characters' movements through the site, it is so well done. It just looks amazing. Now, I'm a no script on this part. My script is very loose most of the time. It's bullet points, no script for this part. If you are somehow bored by the plot of this movie or what's going on or everything going on, I don't know what to tell you. However, what I can tell you right now is this movie really picks up right around this point right here. This is when the movie like picks up like an incredible amount. Disguised in desert garb, Indy and Sala journey towards the map room, and once Indy is down inside, he begins his work. This is another scene where we get to see Indy more as a researcher and an archaeologist rather than a fighter or an adventurer. This scene is so awesome to watch. He is sweaty, he is panting, and he is so excited at the prospect of finding out the location of the Ark. Indy subtracts 1 to honor the Hebrew god and finds the perfect spot for the staff of Ra. And in this scene, you can actually see a little divot where the Nazis put their staff. And in the little diorama of the city of Tanis, they've kind of spray painted over a temple and marked it off. Amazing environmental storytelling, just beautiful. Sala and Indy, with the location of the Ark, they journey through the camp, and Indy stumbles into a random tent to hide. But what he finds there may really surprise him. Indy moves to untie Marion, but then he realizes, I know where the Ark is, Marion. Indy knows that if he takes Marion right now, the Nazis are going to find out and they are going to start searching the whole camp for her and for him. Do I think that it is bad that Indiana Jones left Marion helpless in that tent? No, because she is not helpless. Marion can handle herself, and we saw that proven in the beginning of the movie, and we're going to see it proven again. Indy finds the spot where they're going to start digging, and they get to work in one of the most awesome time-lapse scenes I have ever seen. So, we have made it to my second favorite sequence in this entire movie. When they get to the Well of the Souls, this is, in my opinion, once they unseal that tomb, and you see that jackal down there in the tomb and all the pit of the snakes, that is when in people's brains, they were like, oh, this is Raiders of the Lost Ark. Like, this is it right here. The title of the movie, it is happening right now. All right, we're bringing back the spooky lighting. The unsealing of the Well of the Souls is such a striking scene. I love the thunderstorm. I love the gas that comes out of the Well of the Souls and all of the sound effects and the sound design. And when Indy looks down into that tomb, he is met with his worst fear yet.
Snakes. Why'd it have to be snakes?
Now, all of the snakes down there are non-poisonous, and a good amount of the snakes that you see are actually just fake rubber ones. Nonetheless, Indy rappels down to his dismay into the tomb, and he is met with an actual venomous snake. That little like headdress it has, yeah, that's venomous, and it is angry. So what's protecting Harrison Ford from this venomous, agitated snake? A glass window. So that they can get the effect that he is staring into the eyes of a real venomous snake. Man, we cut back to Marion, and Belloc arrives with dinner. Now, I really like this sequence of how we're cutting back between what Marion is doing and what Indy is doing. Because like I said, Marion can take care of herself, and she is one of our main characters, and it is such a joy to watch her. She is so much fun. However, the way Belloc views Marion is the exact opposite of what the audience has been shown. She is a prize to be won, a bride to be wed, and a woman to be controlled. To him. I should clarify, to him. Now we cut back to Indy, and Indy has recovered from his encounter with the snake. And so he takes a canister of gasoline and starts spraying it all over the snakes. And it's not like we get a cutaway from this. No. We get two panning tracking shots of all the gasoline being covered on the snakes. And then Indy takes his torch and throws it into the snakes, and we don't cut. No. We're going to hold out for just 2 more seconds so that our boy, Ben Burt, the guy doing the sound design for this film, can put in a little tiny snake whimper of pain as they are all set ablaze. Ben Burt, I love you. You made the lightsaber sound effect. You made the Millennium Falcon sound effect. You made all the sound effects that made my childhood what it is. But you are a sick fuck in the most loving way possible. Cut back to Marion. Belloc's already offering her alcohol, and she is already proving that she is going to outdrink this man very, very quickly. Cut back to Sala and Indy, and they are making their way towards the stone encasing where the Ark of the Covenant is held. We're so close. We almost got it. We cut back to Marion. Belloc is already drunker than a sailor, and she threatens him with a knife, which he finds funny, and then she moves to make her escape, but she is quickly stopped by Major Tote.
We meet again, Fräulein.
Now, the hat's coming off. No more fun. I'm gonna rant, because it doesn't piss me off, but I gotta get something off my chest. All right, new day, new outfit. Costume bit is getting old as fuck. I'm not doing it. Let's go on. At about 1 hour and 7 minutes, I had to check the time code, and 56 seconds, Tote is holding a bag at the bottom of the frame. Or at least I just noticed that now because I had never seen him holding this bag before because I'm too busy focusing on him with the soldier taking off his damn jacket, whatever. Dude, all right, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not gonna get too scripted about this. Let's just go into it. All right. So out of this bag, he pulls out some sort of strange tool. It's 3 black little bars connected by chains, right? So then it cuts back to Marion and Belloc, and they're both looking confused, right? And they're like, okay, what the fuck is that? So then he takes these nunchuck looking things, snaps them. So it's like, all right, this is some kind of like fucked up torture device, right? Well, yes, because the camera cuts back and Marion and Belloc gasp, insinuating that it's going to be terrifying, right? But then the whole scene is cut short by him turning his little Nazi-looking nunchuck things into a coat hanger. Now, I really got to talk about this. Holy fuck. Every time, that is a consistent problem in this recording, is I have my headphone in my ear and I hate it every time I do it. Every time I have shown people this movie and this scene comes up, this is my favorite joke in the entire movie. And yes, it's a joke. It's supposed to be a comedic gag because we've already seen that Tote was trying to torture Marion with a burning like fire poker. And now we get a reveal of like these weird looking nunchuck things and it just turns into a coat hanger. This joke never lands with anyone. Everyone I have showed this movie to, this joke never hits. I do not understand why. I have one theory as to why it may never land, but I do not understand why it doesn't land. If they really wanted this joke to hit every time, I believe it would have been helpful if Tote were to show the bag a little bit more and he were to pull out one tool that would be kind of obvious to the audience, like, oh, he's going to do some damage with that, and then pull out the nunchucks. But why can't he do that? It's because you are supposed to be locked in and you are supposed to be threatened by Tote. And when you see some crazy ass looking nunchucks connected by metal chains that are black, I would hope that you're like, oh shit, what is he about to do to the main characters? But instead, you're sitting there silently. That's you. I'm kidding. Rant over. Let's go see the ARK. Oh yes, the ARK is beautiful, and it being this giant, overzealous golden box, overly detailed, the spectacle of it is amazing. And I am so happy that they didn't open up the stone kind of like coffin and to find like a wooden crate or some like a metaphor for what the ARK should be. I am so happy. It is a giant fuck off golden box that just looks ridiculous. Beautiful. I really wish we would bring back more iconic treasures in movies. That thing looks amazing. We get an amazing reference to early German silent films with this amazing shadows on the wall shot as Indy and Sala carry the ARK through the tomb. And I love that their shadows are cast on the wall, almost like hieroglyphs moving through the tomb. It is such a beautiful moment. Belloc sees Indy's operation and he quickly rouses the Nazis to get to Indy. And they meet up once again. And Indy is not in a very favorable position.
Hello! Hello! So once again, Jones, what was briefly yours is now mine.
Belloc jeers Indy for a moment, and I really love this part. I'm gonna just show it.
Who knows? In 1,000 years, even you may be worth something.
Son of a bitch.
The laugh, the line delivery, the body acting, just beautiful. And of course, evil ass Dietrich. Have I even mentioned him yet? Nope. Colonel Dietrich is one of our other 3 main villains, but he is the lesser of the bunch, if we're being honest. However, he's still one of the main 3 that gets killed by the ARK. Marion gets mixed in and is thrown down into the tomb with Indy, and her screams are cut off by the ceiling of the tomb. Haunting. If you've seen Raiders, you know what's about to go down, so I'm going to sum this up real quick. Because the purpose of this scene is really to reunite Marion and Indy and also get them to the plane fight. Indy rides the statue, breaking the walls so that him and Marion can escape through. Marion journeys through first and is greeted by all sorts of ghouls and ancient skeletons in almost this mass burial graveyard tomb kind of thing. But Indy rescues her and brings her to where he sees some light peeking through the sandstone blocks. This whole sequence takes about 4 minutes of the movie, and we're already at the next exciting set piece, completely different from the tomb. As Indy breaches through the wall, we are greeted by our biggest and boldest swastika in the film yet. Now, this isn't the first time we've seen the swastika in the film. The first time is when we see Major Tote's pin on his jacket. The second time is when we see the flag that is thrown down to Indy to get him out of the map room, and that one's obviously a lot bigger than the pin. This swastika is the biggest one that we've seen yet. And interestingly enough, it is placed on something that the Nazis were very proud of, their technology. There are 3 other major uses of swastikas in film. The 2 other major ones are once we get to the submarine base and the camera literally opens on a Nazi flag panning away from the camera. And then the other biggest example is when they open the ARK. There are swastikas on their cameras, they have flags, they are everywhere. The most minor example after this plane is the swastika that is put on the crate that is holding the ARK. And that one is extremely important. I believe that this was a very intentional choice. The swastika appearing at very specific moments in the movie. It's almost a flash reminder of who the villains are. We start out with Major Tote almost as an interrogator, and then we are shown their full force as a military. And they're scary. The amount of numbers they have, the amount of firepower they have, the Nazis are to be feared, as they should be. They are racists, they are sexist, they are xenophobic, they are the most evil group of people in history. However, Steven Spielberg shows us that we do not need to fear the Nazis. We need to laugh at them. But first, let's see a very, very creative fist fight. This is Pat Roach playing the German mechanic, and he is our heavy for this fight. A heavy in film is almost like a mini boss that our hero has to face. They're usually bigger than them, and they're buff. And this always poses a great physical challenge for our hero, kind of like a Batman and Bane fight. This fight rocks. It's got levels. It really starts to escalate once the plane starts spinning idly, and then more German soldiers come in to attack them. And you hear this little theme that yeah, that's like kind of our action theme. This is gonna pop up a lot more, especially in a certain scene that we are getting to. Oh, we're getting to it. Oh, we're getting to it. When this truck full of soldiers arrives, Marion's like, nah, fuck it. I'm just gonna fucking shoot him. So if you're one of those people who doesn't think that Marion should be in the movie, After Marion mercilessly kills those Nazis, there is a giant explosion that goes off on an oil tanker. And now all the Nazis know what Indy and Marion are up to. Marion is now also trapped inside of the cockpit, and Indy must quickly defeat this heavy before the trail of fire created by the gasoline leaking reaches the plane and blows up Marion yet again in another fiery explosion. I don't know why all of her death threats are just like the most massive explosion ever. Of course, Indy succeeds and he frees Marion. They both run off away from an exploding plane. And I'm not even sure Indy wants the ARK at this point. He just may want to leave. However, Sala conveniently manages to find them in the tent that they're hiding out in. And he gives Indy the motivation to pursue the ARK. And thus, the desert chase begins.
Indy, we have no time. If you still want the ARK, it is being loaded on a truck for Cairo. Truck? What truck?
Now, I talked a little bit about this scene when I was talking about the new Indy game coming out to hype you up for the game. Don't watch that video. It's got terrible quality. Or do. I love you. But now we are going full force. I am going to try to analyze every part of this scene that I love. And by the time I'm done, you are going to be sick of this scene. But don't be, because this scene rocks. It's one of my favorite scenes in film. Nothing will be able to top it. I highly doubt it. The Nazis load up the ARK. Indy, Marion, and Sala watch as they drive off. And Indy tells Marion and Sala to get away from here and meet him at a rendezvous point. He is going after the ARK, to which Sala says,
Oh, I don't know. I'm making this up as I go.
Ain't that the truth? Indy starts chasing after the ARK with all of the workers at the site cheering him on as he thrusts himself into a very dangerous situation. Indy catches up to the truck, he grabs on, and he pushes out. Well, he more savagely beats the driver out and gains control of the truck. And as one of the passengers is falling out of the back of the truck, we hear our first Wilhelm scream in the Indiana Jones franchise. Now, I'm not going to explain what this is, because I'm sure if you're watching a video about Indy, you most likely know what it is. But if you don't, Wilhelm, that's Wilhelm, Scream, Scream. Look that up. You'll learn. It's a funny reference. Let's move on. Now, our boy Spielberg showed us this in the gunfight, but we are going to introduce yet again the two most important qualities of an Indy action scene: tension and action. Tension and comedy. The first half of this chase is more about comedy. It's funny to see the Nazis hanging off of the side of the truck, and Indy sees them in his rearview mirrors and he goes, ugh, like they're bugs. Like, that's funny. That is funny stuff right there. After Indy gets rid of the bugs on his truck, one of them gets really, really lucky. As soon as that last Nazi falls off the truck, his comrade in the back, the last guy left, he sees his rolling body on the ground. And in a split second, and I literally mean a film time code second, this Nazi makes like 5 different decisions at once. After seeing his comrade die, he exclaims, "Shit," in German, and then looks up and decides, okay, they tried climbing the side of the truck. That didn't work. They tried shooting the truck. That didn't work. They tried ramming the truck with smaller vehicles. That also didn't work. So in a second, he decides, I'm going to climb the top of this canopy and scale it to get to Indy because he can't see me up here. All within 1 second. Crazy. Not even Indy can hide the pain from that bullet. And I really, really like that he gets shot during this scene. Not in that way. Like, it's a good dramatic point of the action scene. You know what I mean? The Nazi sees that bullet wound and he takes full advantage of it. He just starts punching Indy until he literally just stops fighting back. Once the Nazi has the advantage, he throws Indy out of the windshield. And Indy now has to hold on to the Mercedes-Benz logo on the truck for dear life. This movie is so sick, dude. The high command car beckons the Nazi to drive faster so that they can get Indy closer to them. But Indy has other plans. The stunt work here, I mean, you're seeing it too, right? Like, it is amazing. That truck is obviously not going at like 80 miles per hour, but that is a real guy hanging under that truck. That man is not Harrison Ford, although Harrison Ford is crazy and will do some of his own stunts sometimes. That man is Vic Armstrong. And if you are out there, Vic, and you ever see this, I want you to know personally, for me, your stunt work and the stuff that you did for this movie made my childhood so great. I would try to recreate this scene with my Legos, with my action figures, with anything I had, any vehicle I had, whatever. I would usually try to create the desert chase because it was so exciting. And all the stunts that happen are just so thrilling to watch, and they're realistic to a degree. It just feels so grounded yet so fantastical. So, Vic, if you are out there, thank you. Your work is incredible, and I appreciate you so much. Enough gushing. Indy is now hanging behind the truck with his whip being dragged, and he manages to pull himself up, and with perfect timing, that John Williams score comes in with the Raiders March once again interwoven into the score. It doesn't sound like some guy is just pressing play on a Spotify track and they're playing the heroic track like some movies. No, it is mixed in with the action and it's in a different key to show that he is not out of this yet. Indy treats the Nazi to the same courtesy that the Nazi showed him. And now we get to see how this Nazi handles the same situation. All right, let's see how he does. As the Raiders March is now playing in its full glory, Indy now has control of the truck, the ARK, and he derails the car full of the Nazi high command, and he escapes with his prize and his life. And that is the end of the desert chase. Man, what a scene, dude. Like, oh my God. This scene is so incredible, especially for its time. It is so action-packed. It never lets you go. All of the stunts are practical, except for, of course, the fucking car falling off the cliff with all the people in it. But it's still a great effect. This scene, it is astonishing how well this scene holds up even to today's standards. You go look at some other action scenes in some other recent movies, and it's just all unbelievable. I feel like I'm watching anime, even though people say, "Oh, I don't like anime." Well, that's the fight scenes you're getting. Now, let's see what else waits for Indy. I mean, surely he's won by now. He's got Marion, he's got Sala back, he's got the ARK. It's loaded up onto a ship. And we meet a fantastic character, Captain Katanga.
Mr. Jones, your appearance is exactly the way I imagined.
Just a beautiful character. Captain Katanga feels like a side character that you'd see in a play, and you go home and you're like, man, the main characters weren't really that interesting, but that one Captain Katanga guy, he was really cool. I wish they made a movie just about him. Not actually, but like, it sounds good on paper, not good execution. But like a Captain Katanga movie, that is a fun character to follow right there. We say our goodbyes to Sala, and after some friendly kisses from Marion, Sala treats us with a song.
Oh, Ishtar is a sword.
While on the ship, we are treated to a very touching scene between Marion and Indy, where Marion is treating Indy's wounds, and I really, really enjoyed this scene. Number one, we just had a crazy action scene. This is a perfect time to slow down. Number two, this reconnects Indy and Marion in a very fiery and very passionate way, and I like that a lot for their characters. Now, they have a lot more to lose than just the ARK. Whatever. Anyways, number three, it shows Indy can be soft, and that is, oh my God, that is so crucial. Super crucial for a character like this. But amidst all this sweet romance, that ARK is still aboard the ship. The crate that holds the Ark of the Covenant has had a Nazi logo painted onto it with an eagle and then a swastika under that eagle. And the Ark's ghostly flame burns the swastika. Very interesting. So now I'm gonna go into the history about the ARK because I didn't want to clog your mind before we got too deep into things. Here we go.
Wahi, wahi, waho, ho, ho, wahi, wahi, waho, ho. Wahi, wahi, waho, ho, ho, wahi, wahi, waho, ho. I love that scene.
All right, let's talk the Ark of the Covenant. So, in the Old Testament, now, there are two stories in the Bible, the Old Testament and the New Testament. The Old Testament is about the creation of the world. Some other stories, can't remember them, but they're scary. And then the Israelites freeing themselves from the Egyptians, all right? There's a dude in there named Moses. You probably heard of him from the film Prince of Egypt. It was DreamWorks' first film, and it's not talked about enough. It's its best film. It's better than Shrek. I'll die on that hill. Moses was ordained by gods once he freed the Israelites from Egypt to write the 10 Commandments on these stone tablets. God also gave him the instructions to build the ark of which he was going to keep the commandments. And then some other stories say that he held his friend's staff in there and also his own staff. And then there were some like other treasures. This story is like told a million different ways across a million different cultures. Now, I am not here to comment on religion. I am not religious. I am agnostic, which is the pussy's atheist. However, I believe the Ark's ghostly flame burning the swastika is meant to represent God literally burning the swastika, a symbol of hate, off of the crate of basically one of his possessions. I think that is very intriguing and very smart, and they do it without words. At least that's what I hope they were going for. I'm pretty sure it's too hyper specific. It doesn't burn the eagle, it solely burns the swastika. Even a higher power like God knows white supremacy when they see it. All right, huge sidetrack. I just wanted to give a little history about this little golden box because it has a lot, and I really tried hard, really tried hard to find out if it was actually real. I'm not exactly sure. It's talked about a lot, and many kingdoms and so forth fought over it, whatever. But as it having mystical powers, However, this movie turns it into a spooky ghoul box, and spooky ghosts pop out of it. So it's not the deepest thing in the world, but it makes you think a little bit. Anyways, holy shit, the Nazis are back and they want that fucking ARK. The Nazis raid the boat. They capture Marion, the captain, and his crew. They get the ARK, but there's no sign of Jones.
What about Jones?
I believe Katanga knows what Indy is up to. I think they deliberated on it for a split second before everything kind of started going crazy. And Katanga offers to keep the girl aboard the ship, obviously to take her home. He wants to put a guise in front of them that to the Nazis, he's just going to sell her. The Nazis have terrible intentions with Marion. And what do I mean by that? Belloc persists. And he says, these are his words.
She
If she fails to please me, you may do with her as you wish. I will waste no more time with her. Yeah, I will waste no more time with her now. Red alert, bad character writing. I'm gonna talk about this because this needs to stop. Do I think that Belloc needs to be rapey to be more evil? No, I don't think that at all. There's no point to it. If you are willing to die on the hill that villains should be rapists in order to be more evil or to add something to their character, it adds nothing. A villain being a rapist does not no. And especially for a story like this, no. It's so fucking creepy. I hate it. I hate it so much. And the reason why I say that, Martin Freeman, I would hope, is not actually like Belloc in real life. However, that means that someone had to write Belloc that way. And if that's how we're writing our villains in the 80s, I can't even imagine what the time looked like, except I can. And we need to help the people around us. We need to try to understand and to believe the people around us. And we need to start giving rights to the people around us because we have rights and they deserve rights too, like healthcare and being able to support themselves and being able to be a free person in society. Jesus Christ. Our villains do not need to be rapists. You can make stories about sexual assault. That can be very powerful. But do not, in my goofy action-adventure thrill ride movie, make my villain a pervert. Don't make them a rapist. I'm tired of it. Stop. And if you motherfuckers in the comments, I swear to God, I'll come down. I will come down on you. If you try to justify that we should write Belloc this way, no, it should have been changed. But unfortunately, that was the mindset at the time, and it sucks. So I'm here to address it, and now we can go back to having fun. Seeing Indy get on top of that sub and the whole boat just cheering for him, that brought me back. That brought me back from my rant. I was a little angry, but it brought me back. We're back. We're back in Raiders. Back in Raiders. We arrive at an island, a Nazi submarine island. Crazy. Remember what I said about that symbol getting bigger. That's a big one. Indy is hiding, and he manages to scope out an outfit that just might fit him, but not quite. And I love this scene. Dietrich is talking with Belloc, and Dietrich voices his disgust at performing a Hebrew ritual to unseal the Ark, to which Belloc says, would he like to find out when he gets to Berlin what's inside the Ark? And Dietrich secedes. Now, this ritual that Dietrich mentions, this is Belloc's plan for the Ark. He, and only he, surrounded by Nazis, is going to dress like an ancient Hebrew with a staff, all of that. He is going to chant in poorly pronounced Hebrew words, a ritual, and then he is going to unseal the Ark and talk to God. What the fuck did Belloc, what was he gonna ask? Was he gonna ask God for 3 wishes like a fucking genie? Well, to this day, I genuinely don't know what Belloc's purpose is for the Ark other than I want to talk to God. I genuinely maybe he's asking for power. I'm not sure. With Indy in position and a new disguise, he is ready to nab that Ark. And so the Nazis make their way up the canyon with the Ark and a bunch of flags, all proper, like goose-stepping in formation. And Indy pulls up on them with not a pistol, not a rifle, not even a whip. An RPG.
Hello? Jones? I'm gonna blow up the Ark grenade.
That fucking line delivery, it fucking kills me every goddamn time I watch that scene. Jesus Christ. In the canyon that R2-D2 gets shot by the Jawas, yes, this is the same canyon, Belloc invites Indy to shoot the Ark because he knows, just as well as Indy, that Indy wants to see the Ark opened. Both him and Belloc are men of history, and they are both very excited at the prospect of this new discovery. But now it just comes down to who's going to write this history. Now, of course, Indy gives in, but I think it is such a great, humbling moment to see him give up so late into the game. Indy has been kicking these Nazis' asses throughout this entire film, but they keep coming back with more soldiers, more technology, more firepower. They are a force that Indy himself cannot take on alone. He's going to need more than an RPG. He is going to need the wrath of God. Okay. As I was writing the script, I wrote down that we are in about an hour and 44 minutes into this film. Now, we only have 11 minutes left. Like, this is going to wrap up real quick. And half of that time is credits. Don't you miss when a movie's finale was only like 5 minutes and it wasn't stretched out over like 20 minutes, and there are so many anticlimactic conclusions, there are so many moments happening all at once that you can't keep track of everything, and the movie has already been so damn long that you're already uncomfortable in the cozy seat that you've been sitting in for so long. Now you're all out of snacks, there's no soda, there's no popcorn, there's no candy, you just have a dry mouth and a stiff butt that you gotta deal with because the movie's not over yet. And you can't leave until the final conclusion happens, you would miss out. You'd miss out on all the TikToks of everyone crying to how they watched the movie and it made them so emotional that they just started bawling everywhere. And oh my God, they can't believe that this character died and that they were pretty much like their dad and they raised them. And now we get movies like Deadpool and Wolverine, where now they are like, hey, you remember that popcorn bucket that looked like a fleshlight? You know, the Dune one for the Dune movie, and it was a poorly designed popcorn bucket? Well, guess what? We're taking it and we're running with it. Now, we're gonna make popcorn buckets of fucking characters' heads for the movie. You thought a cup wasn't enough? Now you're gonna get a whole popcorn bucket where you can shove your hand into Wolverine's greasy, butter-filled mouth and shovel your greasy, butter-filled mouth with more popcorn. And now, more companies can't stop doing this. They can't stop making the damn popcorn bucket heads. Everyone's doing it now. And now movies are not about going to see a film and enjoying an experience. It's about buying a product that you can market on a social media platform so that you can say, I saw this, and you should too. You don't want to feel left out, do you? You don't want to be left behind, do you? You want to keep up with the current trends, don't you? Yeah, I miss it too. And hey, even Indiana Jones can be an identity that you can buy for yourself at a box lunch for 20 bucks. What a beautiful world we live in. This rocky area where they hold the final ceremony of the film is so great to look at. I love all the spotlights, the oranges with the whites. I love all of the set dressing everywhere, all of the Nazis wearing the same uniform, blending into the environment, looking all very similar and mundane. It's beautiful. And Belloc is dressed like a fucking goofball. Indy and Marion are comically tied to a spotlight, which actually looks really nice with the light kind of beaming down on their foreheads. And then Belloc starts chanting Hebrew, and I swear to God, every time he does this, I just burst out laughing because it is so stupid, and he sounds so stupid doing it. I love it. Now, the Nazis have several cameras set up here, and that is very, very important for this scene. The Nazis filmed everything during their rise to power. They made so many film reels, so many propaganda films, that they were trying so hard to push this ideology and almost train people to live a Nazi lifestyle. That is terrifying, dude. The Nazis filming the opening of the Ark is also very hilarious. And again, there's Spielberg with that blend of comedy and tension. Belloc finishes his ritual. Two Nazis open the Ark. All the Nazis walk forward to watch. Even Indy's watching. He's curious. And Dietrich reaches his hand in, only to come up with sand. And Tote starts laughing, dude. He is eating it up. However, the sand is not what the ARK truly contains. The first thing the ARK does is disarm the Nazis by first wasting all of the bullets in their guns and then destroying their cameras, taking away their power in 2 different ways. Come on. The Nazis are scared. The main 3 villains are a little bit disturbed, but it's Indy's reaction to this sound effect that sells this scene for me. Remember, Indy is not a believer. He doesn't believe in all that hocus pocus nonsense. Remember that? But it is when the ARK starts warbling that he looks terrified. A dense fog begins to pour out of the ARK and it surrounds the Nazis. And Indy says something very, very interesting to Marion.
Shut your eyes, Marion. Don't look at it no matter what happens.
Don't look at it, Marion, no matter what happens. Now, in the context of Indiana Jones, is he calling the ARK it, or is he calling God, more specifically in this instance, the Hebrew God, it? Oh, this is a rough question. It's a rough question. Now, we're already aware that Indy is not religious, nor is he spiritual. However, we do know from the 3rd film that he was raised in a Catholic home by an extremely religious father. Was this planned? I don't know. However, with the context of the 3rd film, I cannot help but to think that because Indy knows history so much, he's had to have read the Bible at least twice, right? Does he know that you are not supposed to look upon God according to the Old Testament, of which the Ark of the Covenant is from? Let's talk about it. I'm going to take you to Sunday school, and I am going to try my best to cite this text. We are reading Exodus 33:20, quotation marks, but, comma, quotation marks, close. He said, comma, open quotation marks, you cannot see my face, comma, for man shall not see me and live, period, close quotation marks. All right. That's in the book. At least I hope. So, that means that if Indy were to have had read the Bible, then he would know if God were to somehow magically appear out of this box like a genie, he's not supposed to look at him. And so he gives this information to Marion because he has the feeling that if Marion were to look, she would get smited. And we'll see how they are rewarded later. After all of this tension and all of this incredible buildup, fucking ghouls, specters, ghasts, and ghosts fly out of the box and start swirling around the Nazis. I don't know how much better of a visual representation they could have done, but this is really goofy. Now, even Tote is mesmerized by the power of the ARK until this movie rocks. And then our main 3 villains get exactly what they were searching for, a radio to communicate with God. And here's what the Hebrew God has to say to these fools. Flames are just pouring out of the ARK, incinerating all of the Nazis' bodies there and surrounding Indy and Marion. They're screaming, but they're not on fire. And then that swirling, fiery vortex swirls up into the sky. And man, when those clouds part and it goes up in there, and then you see the lid kind of reach its apex, and it makes that little, like, what do you call that? It's like how that tree looks in the Tim Burton Nightmare, not Tim Burton, the Henry Selick Nightmare Before Christmas. Like, it's got the swirly part. It does that. And then the lid comes careening down. The music is just playing its full might, the final theme of the ARK. And then it just slams down, sealing the ARK forever. Oh my God, what an ending. So good. Just incredible. And Indy's knowledge, not his faith of religion and that God, is favored to him as the flames that incinerated the Nazis simply burned the binds that tied him and Marion to that lamppost. I hope that was the intention. That's what I'm taking away from it. It can probably be interpreted a million different ways, but I think that that is beautiful. Amazing. You don't need him to be a believer, but his knowledge and his knowledge of history rewarded him. Yes! Now this next cut is crazy. We go from that ceremony area to the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C. This transition is so cold, but it is such a good segue into basically the finale. Like, it's great. And then we end up with Marcus and the two Army intelligence men we met at the beginning, and Indy, all done up in a nice blue suit. The military has compensated Indy for his very well-earned deeds. However, Indy and Marcus are very upset about how the ARK is being handled by the government. To which Eaton reassures both of them that they have top men working on the ARK right now. To which Indy asks,
"Who? Top men?"
You never know. Some of them could be bottoms, some of them could be switches. Stupid. We're left on that cold note from Major Eaton, and Indy meets up with Marion, still worried about what is going to happen to that ARK. And Marion takes his attention away and reminds him of the real treasure he found along his journey. Love. At least for this movie. And with that, the ARK is sealed away, and yet another wooden crate being carted away by an employee who's probably carted away many of these crates to their final destination. And who knows, maybe one of those crates holds yet another piece from one of Indiana Jones' great adventures. And with that, my friends, we have come to the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
You don't wanna go to war with a soldier. You don't wanna go to war with a soldier.
I don't wanna be down. I don't wanna be found. I don't wanna be down.
Oh, he not tired of his title. I'm so sick of these people. They don't know you.
White boys mocking this shit and y'all mad at me, y'all can suck my dick. Pull up old tweets, pull up old t-shirts, all that, I'll moonwalk over that bitch. 16 chains like the fit got dirty. I was young man and a nigga hit 30. I was 1 mil and a nigga hit 30. Bitch, you ain't Coco golf, you can't serve me. Anti what? Yeah, right. Niggas running they mouth, keep it airtight. I'ma crash shit out to my hair white. I got too much drive, I'm a terabyte. I got a big old head, I ain't like these niggas. Don't put me with these niggas. I don't high kiki with these niggas. Look at squad, baby, I don't be with these niggas. Same boys really since back then. Everything I said I do, I did. Talk my shit, I show damn good. You ain't like that shit, I just do it again. 5 in the morning, I be hating on shit. 10 in the evening, I be hating on shit. 10 years later, might have changed my mind. I'm a fake ass bitch.